It's a quiet, warm summer evening with no human in sight for miles in the woods. As the sun sets, tiny flashes of light start to flicker throughout the trees. At first, there's just a few, but soon, hundreds of blinking lights are floating in the forest. Fireflies have come out for the evening. That was an excerpt from National Geographic, and it was written by Avery Elizabeth Hurt, and I thought it was really nicely written, so I wanted to include that in the introduction. I may be looking in this direction a fair amount because I may or may not be reading off a monitor. Are you guys a fan of fireflies? I think they have a really ethereal beauty to them, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some basic facts and legends surrounding them. It won't be too much of a deep dive or anything, quite surface level, quite basic. So let's talk a little bit about the fireflies themselves. Most insects get attention by either directly benefiting us, pollinators like bees and such, or by having a negative effect, such as disease-carrying ticks. But fireflies, they're neither. They enrich our lives simply by existing and flashing their ethereal lights on warm summer nights. For this reason, we call these bioluminescent organisms charismatic insects. This was written by Tennessee State Parks. So fireflies, they're found on almost every continent. Not Antarctica though, unfortunately. They prefer warm, humid environments typically, and there are around 2,000 species of fireflies, which are sized between 5 to 24 millimeters, or up to 1 inch. Fireflies are actually beetles rather than flies or bugs, and not all of them are winged either. Some species, and many females actually, they can't fly. Similarly, not all species light up either. And those species, they're usually active during the day rather than at night. And the fireflies that can light up, they communicate through a unique pattern of flashing light, and each species can have a different color. Not all of them are this yellowy, orange, warm color. Some of them are white or even like a bluish green, and some firefly eggs can actually glow in the dark, so that's pretty cool. Pretty litty. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, the blue ghost, Phalcis reticulata. Their color can vary from a blue-white to a bright green, depending on how far you are away from them. And according to an Apache legend, blue ghost fireflies are said to be the ghosts of Confederate soldiers, because in the area where they appear, there were a lot of soldiers that lost their lives there. Also, did you know that fireflies create the most efficient light in the world? 100% of the energy they use to create light is emitted as light. And so for reference, incandescent bulbs emits 10% of its battery, of its energy as light, and the rest is heat. And there's some other bulbs which are much more efficient, but still not as good as the firefly. So these fireflies, they use light to communicate to other fireflies, and sometimes they'll even blink together in unison. The part of the firefly that glows is the abdomen. They have organs under the abdomen that combines oxygen and a chemical called luciferin to make light with almost no heat produced. It's a process called bioluminescence. Luciferin actually has been super useful in the science world, but we won't get into that. Adult fireflies typically eat plant pollen and nectar, but some eat nothing at all. Larvae of the fireflies, on the other hand, are actually carnivorous, and not always, but for the most part, they'll eat snails and worms. There is one really unique genus of fireflies called the Photiris. They're also known as the femme fatale lightning bugs of North America. This is because they copy the light signaling of closely related female firefly species to attract and devour the males. And this also lets them acquire a specific toxin called lucibufacins, which the Photiris puts into their eggs as a chemical defense. Some fireflies also have a mechanism called reflexive bleeding, where they'll reflexively bleed when they're threatened or attacked. The chemicals which get released are definitely not the most pleasant. In fact, they are supposed to be quite bitter to keep predators away, so in the eyes of predators, the light of the firefly could be more of a warning to stay away of anything. They also have a pretty unique life cycle. Fireflies don't live more than a few weeks, but their eggs spend like 2 years in this state until they change into adult fireflies. That's such a long time compared to their adult stage. And last but not least, we're not sure exactly how much firefly populations have decreased, but it does appear they are dwindling. There's a lot of factors that could have affected the decline, like pesticide use, loss of habitat, and light pollution. Light pollution, for example, it interferes with their attempts to signal each other, and even the passing of a car's headlight can cause fireflies to become out of sync with each other for a few minutes. You could easily imagine how this could be a pretty big problem for them, considering a car passing that might happen many times a night, and their lifespan really isn't that long to begin with. Personally, I've only seen glowworms before, and once or twice in Waitommo Caves in New Zealand, and once in Tauranga on a park trail. We were there when it was still light, and the trail looked so normal, but like once it was pitch black, we could slowly begin to see what looked like tiny stars lighting up all throughout. They were in the trees, along the riverbank, on the sides of the trail, just everywhere. It's very beautiful. I remember I wanted to take a photo to remember how beautiful it looked, but it was just way too dark. It just looked like a blurry photo of the night sky. That's okay. Well, if you guys ever get the chance to see some fireflies or even glowworms, I would highly encourage you guys to take that opportunity. They're so different from a lot of attractions. I don't know, they're just very unique, really pretty. I like them a lot. As for legends, I was thinking we can start with the Mayans, actually. The Mayan legend starts with a man who was loved by everyone and who had the gift of curing illnesses. When the sick came to see him, he would take out a green stone out of his pocket and whisper a few words while holding it in his hands, and that was enough to make all illnesses and diseases disappear. One morning, the man went for a walk in the jungle to look at the birds, when all of a sudden a heavy downpour began to fall. As he ran for shelter, he didn't notice that he dropped his green stone, and when he arrived home, someone was already expecting him. He needed to cure a sick child and reached into his pocket. That's when he noticed his stone was missing. To find it, the man enlisted the help of several animals: the deer, the hare, the vulture, and the firefly, asking them to search every road, cave, and corner of the jungle. The man offered a reward to whoever found the precious green stone. The animals ran in search of the stone. The deer found it first, but liked it so much he didn't want to return it, and swallowed it instead. The vulture got tired. Oh, I misread. The deer then had a terrible bellyache, spat out the stone, and ran away in fear. The firefly was the most diligent of all, and searched every nook and cranny of the jungle. The vulture got tired of flying high in the sky, and never coming close enough to the ground to find the stone. The hare ran very fast, and did not stop to look around. In the end, only the firefly kept looking with great care. Suddenly, the firefly imagined a spark of light and flew immediately to the place where he visualized the stone. At the same time, he felt that his body began to glow, lighting his path. He found the stone where he pictured it would be, and took it back to its owner. The man recognized the firefly's noble efforts, dedication, and perseverance. You have your own light, little firefly, and from now on, you will always have it to guide your way, the man told him. That is why we can see the firefly shining bright in the middle of the night. So, it seems that the native word for fireflies for the Mayans was coque, but I'm sure that I am mispronouncing that. And then we have Japanese legends. In Japanese legends, fireflies are said to be the souls of the dead. Variations of the tale say that they're the revered and respected spirits of warriors who fell in battle. There's even a children's folk song where they sing, "Firefly, come hither, and you shall have water to drink. Yonder the water is bitter, here the water is sweet. Come, fly this way to the sweet side." There are even fairy tales such as Hotaru Hime, Princess of the Fireflies. As for Apache folklore, fireflies are said to be how fire came to be for their people. Long, long ago, animals and trees talked with each other, but there was no fire at that time. Fox was the most clever, and he tried to think of a way to create fire for the world. One day, he he decided to visit geese, whose cry he wished to learn how to imitate. They promised to teach him if he would fly with them, so they contrived a way to attach wings to a fox, but cautioned him never to open his eyes while flying. Whenever the geese arose in flight, Fox also flew along with them to practice their cry. On one such adventure, darkness descended suddenly as they flew over the village of the Fireflies. In mid-flight, the glare from the flickering fireflies caused Fox to forget, and he opened his eyes. Instantly, his wings collapsed. His fall was uncontrollable. He landed within the walled area of the Firefly village, where a fire constantly burned. In the center, 2 kind fireflies came to see the fallen fox, who each gave a necklace of juniper berries. Fox hoped to persuade the 2 fireflies to tell him where he could find a way over the wall to the outside. They led him to a cedar tree, which they explained would bend down upon command and catapult him over the wall if he so desired. That evening, Fox found the spring where the fireflies obtained their water. There, he also discovered colored earth, which, when mixed with water, made paint. He decided to give himself a coat of white. Upon returning to the village, Fox suggested to the fireflies, "Let's have a festival where we can dance, and I will produce the music." They all agreed that would be fun, and helped to gather wood to build up a greater fire. Secretly, however, Fox tied a piece of cedar bark to his tail. Then he made a drum, probably the first one ever constructed, and beat it vigorously with a stick for the dancing fireflies. Gradually, he moved closer and closer to the fire. Fox pretended to tire from beating from the drum. He gave it to some fireflies who wanted to help make the music. Fox quickly thrust his tail into the fire, lighting the bark, and exclaimed, "It is too warm for me here. I must find a cooler place." Straight to the cedar tree. Fox ran, calling, "Bend down to me, my cedar tree, bend down." Down bent the cedar tree for Fox to catch hold. Then up it carried him far over the wall. On and on he ran, with fireflies in pursuit. As Fox ran along, brush and wood on either side of his path was ignited from the sparks dropping from the burning bark tied to his tail. Fox finally tired and gave the burning bark to Hawk, who carried it to Brown Crane. He flew far southward, scattering fire sparks everywhere. This is how fire first spread over the earth. Fireflies continued chasing Fox all the way to his burrow and declared, "Forever after, Woolly Fox, your punishment for stealing our fire will be that you can never make use of it for yourself." For the Apache Nation, this too was the beginning of fire for them. Soon they learned to use it for their cooking and to keep themselves warm in the cold weather. Such was the tale of the trickster fox and the fireflies, and how that gave the Apache people fire for the first time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a nice and warm and relaxing sleep, and I'll see you guys in another video. Good night, sweet dreams, and